And now, ladies and gentlemen,
Put your thumbs up and say it's Tickety Boo.
Tickety Boo.
Tickety Boo, Tickety Boo, everything's Tickety Boo.
Tickety Boo, son. Tickety Boo.
Tickety Boo.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Tickety Boo. I'm Andy, and as always, I'm here with Iona and Ian, and today we're going to talk about that belief that so many of us carry through life, and that's that we're only valuable whilst we're doing something for someone else. It's something I've definitely struggled with at times, and I know it's something that I grew up with, and I struggled with it for a long time, because if I wasn't helping, fixing, rescuing or keeping the peace, part of me felt a little bit uncomfortable, and I'm pretty sure both of you have experienced this at some point in life. For me, it started in childhood and chased me straight into adulthood. What about you?
It's something I've had pretty well since I was a kid. All my life, it's still something that I'm working on now.
Same.
And I think for me, it's the busy being busy. So because if you're seen to not be doing anything and therefore being productive, then you're wasting time. There's something you should be doing. So it's caught in that thing to seem to be being busy. And the best way to be busy is to be helping someone else. I was the eldest of my siblings. And then it's also like, I hadn't thought about it, but keeping the peace, which you just mentioned, it's like, oh yeah, I did that too. Again, both of these behaviors absolutely stem from my childhood.
I think if I came back as a dog, I'd be a Saint Bernard. And the reason is, anytime somebody's talking to me, telling me about something they're going through or they're struggling with, I immediately go, how can I help with this? How can I fix this for them? What can I do? And I'm aware of it happening, and I'm getting much better going, they've not asked for help. They're just talking. And actually, they're talking. And I am listening, but I'm not fully listening, because I'm up in my head going, oh, I know this person and I could do that, and maybe we could do it. And I need to learn to stop doing that as much.
That's because you're a fixer. All three of us are. We fix. That's what we
we've
do.
talked about this before.
Yeah. So I mean, with the people pleasing, there's two different sides to it. In my head, in my tiny little world, you've got your basic human need, which is we're sort of born with a need to serve. It's part of who we are and what we do. And then you've got this people pleasing, which is a response to something that's happened years ago, where, like you say, you're trying to keep the peace. You have your own inner conflict, so you have to find value for yourself, your own value, by doing things for other people. And then some of it's just fear of rejection.
Yeah.
And it's that part where it's can be to your detriment, whereas when we're coming from true service, that's different, as you say. So I'm really glad you clarified those 2 points.
Yeah.
What's percolating there?
No, as you're talking, things are going through my head. But what do you feel when you don't immediately go to the role of let me fix this or rescue the situation? Do you feel uncomfortable?
Yes, there's a definitely. I've learned by me stepping in and doing things for people, you're robbing them of their opportunity to learn, and they keep having the reoccurring situation appear because they're not learning the lesson that comes with that situation or that issue.
Yeah.
And I keep stepping in and fixing it for them so that it keeps reoccurring, because nothing's changed. So
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's also different when it comes to colleagues or people, strangers, people we've just met and we want to fix or help. I find it easier now to go, oh, wait, not mine. Wait to be invited, or before you offer help, advice, and insight. But when it comes to family, it's like, before I know it, sometimes I've jumped in to try and fix something, which they actually have verbally said again and again, I don't want you to do this. Like, let me do it myself.
I've recently shifted my position on this.
Yeah.
It was actually something a client said to me, and they used a great phrase, and it was because their partner coaches youth football at quite a high level. And there's a great phrase they said to me. And it's like, they're dealing with the players and, various issues. And he goes, sometimes they need a cuddle. And at other times, they need a kick.
Yeah.
And I went, what a great analogy. Because me, I fix or help. But kick or cuddle, actually, I can stand.
I think I need to get that tattooed on me.
I think it's a great analogy because
Yeah.
when I say a kick, I don't mean boot them while they're
Yeah.
down. It's like, come on. Like you'll say, give your head a wobble.
Yeah.
You're not thinking straight. Blah, 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 blah. Stop telling the story you're telling yourself. Or other times it's like, I hear you and I understand what's that like, what that must be like. Not like, right, let me put my Superman cape on and my blue tights
save the day.
and save the day.
Absolutely. And I've had a situation very recently where I've got to this point now where I will let people wallow for so long because people need to adjust to what's happened. They need to grieve, whatever the situation is, not whether it's a relationship, a situation, a financial thing. And you allow people to wallow and you're there for them. But then 6 months later, they're still talking about the same thing. And they've kept themselves stuck in this situation because they're carrying this emotion with them that no longer serves them. And eventually it starts to drain my energy. And I'm there for them always, but you get to a point where the kindest thing that you can do is say, right, from now on, I've said everything I can. I've directed you to this person. I'll give you every piece of advice I can. You've chosen not to, at this point, you're choosing to be in the situation. You've not done anything to help yourself. So I'm not having this conversation anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's depleting because I felt like I was just enabling this self-wallowing and this constant whining. And there is a point at which it becomes keeping yourself anchored to this situation in the past, even though everybody else around you's moved on.
I remember you saying something to me. I can't remember what it was. Somebody came to you moaning about the same thing again and again and again and again. And
Not my circus, not my monkeys.
Yeah, but no, also you said you said something along the lines, I can't remember what it was. It was like, well, if you're not going to do anything or take any action, stop coming here and bleating on about it. Like, it's not that harsh, but you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Which is like, and you see these people. You're right. A year later, 3 years later, 5 years later, having the same loop.
Yeah, well, that's not, they do get caught in this sort of doom loop.
Yeah.
But for me, that was a kick. That was I tried the cuddle.
So
I tried the cuddle for a long time, and that was the metaphorical kick out that they needed. And I'm hoping, and I could see behind their eyes sort of changed, and they were thinking one of a couple of things I'd like to think. They were thinking, oh, yeah, maybe I do need to change. That's probably not what they were thinking when they were looking at me at the time. But that would be my goal. I've tried the cuddle. I've tried, and nothing's changed. We've just it's just enabled keeping you in this same loop. And I'm not saying I'm not empathetic. I'm not saying I don't care. But right now, I can't fix you. I've tried. Well, I'm sorry. It's not my business to fix you, but
Yeah.
I've been there for you. Now you need to sort yourself out.
But this is not really about them, whoever it is. It's actually about us going, I only have value when I'm helping.
So it becomes transactional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it would have felt very uncomfortable not helping because they're like, well, they don't value and appreciate me if I don't drop into the fixer value role.
Yeah.
But actually, what I've noticed is people have a lot more respect and time for you when you fall back into that position of, do you need a cuddle? Do you need a kick? And I will still help if I can, but I'm not going to jump in the pool and drown with you. I will throw you a life ring or a pair of armbands, a flotation device, but you're going to get yourself to the side.
Bit of a random thought. Do you think in your head, when you're doing this stuff for other people, it's kind of your own subconscious saying to yourself, look, I did get over it, I'm fixing, I've even got over it so well, I'm fixing you. But you're still fixated on it, it's still in there.
I think, in my opinion, a lot of fixers and rescuers end up as therapists and coach.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's not always a good thing, because you focus more of your energy on other people's stuff than your own. And I'm not saying, and we're not, by the way, therapists and coach are far from perfect. But I do feel that more of us end up in this role of helping others.
Yeah, healers make the best. Yeah,
Wounded
people that are
healers.
healing
Yeah.
make the best healers.
Wounded healers who have hopefully been doing the work
Yeah.
so they don't pass on their...
Generally, when I'm sat with a client and I am giving them a kick and a cuddle, I am talking from a place of, I have been exactly where you've been, and this is what you need to do, and I will help you do it, but I can't and I won't do it for you.
Yeah.
I will walk alongside you, but I can't go in the gym and pick the weights up for you. You're going to have to do the heavy lifting. I can just give you a lift to the gym, or give you directions to the gym. And I think that's the thing. But when your worth depends on what you do for others, you never actually get to feel worthy, ever. You just feel useful.
It'll never be enough.
Yeah.
There'll always be something to do. Always be someone to help.
Yeah. And the problem is people love you for what you do for them. And then they lose interest in you when you stop doing stuff for them. How quickly do they disappear?
When you really need help, yeah.
Yes. So that's not connection, is it? That's far from connection. It's transactional.
Yeah.
Yeah. And be interesting when you pull back who stays and who doesn't stay.
Yeah, with it being, so we're trying to earn their love, earn their approval.
Yeah.
So again, where did that start in childhood? Whose love were you trying to earn as a child?
Well, that's just like jumping on a treadmill, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where does it end? Where do you get
Hamster
off?
wheel. Just,
But the thing is, I think, part of this leads into our childhood as well, that, we were raised to believe that being useful makes us good people.
Yes.
If you're helping others, you're a good person. And you are, but it also can make you feel incredibly lonely.
Yeah. And sometimes it depends on the why. Just going back to the last conversation a little bit, I've been really disappointed in the past by people that, I've done things for, and then when I need them, they were nowhere to be seen, or they'd pull the ladder up, or they'd be bitching behind your back, whatever it is. And in my head, because I was doing something for them, we had this connection. And I've learnt now that I'm now accountable. I know that the issue was, it was in my head, I had an expectation of how they would react and how they would behave. And I actually had no grounding for that. A lot of the time, I don't actually know these people on a deeper level, but I've taken it upon myself that they will behave and look back at me in a certain way because that's how I perceive is appropriate. But it's absolute rubbish, and it was me that had created that expectation, nobody else. So I've started to hold my hand up now, and when people don't react the way that I think is appropriate, I can just say, okay, you won't get my time again, but that was my expectations created the disappointment.
I've had a handful of people in my life that have gone massively out of the way to help me, like hugely out of the way. And I am genuinely really, really grateful. And I don't forget.
No.
I don't forget, and I will remember that. But I've also had a small percentage of people that have gone out the way to help me, but they've let me know about it. And then when I haven't when I've not met their expectations, it's weaponized and used back. Okay. When I did that for you, I'm like, oh right, so there was an expectation.
Transactional.
It was a trade.
It was a trade. And I know when I used to do lots for people, I entered into these unconscious contracts. I'll be nice to you, you be nice to me. But actually, all it did was it just lent me to be resentful and feeling pretty burnt out and lost in life. But this sometimes can get used back against you.
Yeah.
It's like if you decide to do something for somebody, you should really do it from a point of not expecting anything back, maybe some gratitude.
Yeah. I think that's the one thing that still gets me when there's no gratitude.
Yeah, like I know you've gone the extra mile for me, and I massively appreciate it. And unconsciously, I owe you one. That's where I'm at in my head. I owe you one, even if that's just you're up here in the higher echelon of my thinking. Not like you're going, oh, remember that time I did that for you? Well, now you know, or you're now not doing that, and I did that for you. That's not fair. And you're like, whoa, hang on a minute. Where was that ever put into the contract? And those people do exist. They are out there, and that's not a good place to be. And that's where resentment and anger definitely creeps in. So for me to recognize this trait, I had to recognize the time in my life, or the earliest times in my life, where I felt like I had to get approval. And that approval was from my parents. I had to seek approval and acknowledgement to feel a sense of worth. And that's where I needed to do the work. But if you're listening to this episode, I'd say to you, ask yourself, if you stopped being the fixer and the helper, who around you would still choose you? Who would still be there for you? Yeah? Because they're not all going to be there.
I agree.
You are going to lose some people, but they were never really your people.
That ratio of people that would to wouldn't has actually gone up over the years, but that's because I've grown, I've learned, I've filtered, and those ones that would come out in the middle of the night that did help me, or when I thought I was worth nothing, they picked me up off the floor. Not even talking financial, but there has been some of that in the past. But those people that would literally give the shirt off the back to help me, they've stayed forever. I've never ever forgotten. And I will make it my mission to make sure if they ever need anything, I'm there. So luckily, those people will stay, and they will stay forever. So that ratio is getting better over time. But a friend of mine put a comment on Facebook yesterday, actually, and he just 2:00 in the morning thought, don't know where he'd been or what he'd been up to. I will never do anything for anybody ever again. And of course, you had a few people on there. Yeah, people are this and that, aren't they? They're all like it. You can never do enough. They just want more. There's a couple of comments along that line, and I've just put, yes, you will, mate. It's in your nature. You'll just figure out who, when, and why, and you'll just establish new boundaries. And that sort of just reminded me of that a little bit, because
that's someone that's just got sick and tired of being used and having their good nature taken advantage of. We all got that threshold point. The thing is, I think, for listeners of this episode, is to remember that you were never meant to earn your place in anyone's life. You're worthy as you are doing you, even when you're not fixing stuff. If people only see value in you when you're fixing stuff or providing a service or an act, then they're not your people. They're really not. And maybe you need to be ruthless and do a bit of an audit of your circle. Because these people are like leeches.
Well, that, or you just establish who stays long-armed, access denied. And that's it. And you just start to understand what people are genuinely about and what they're there for, and you just limit what you offer and to who. It's like my need to serve with my closest and my family. I'm a dad. I'm a husband. I provide. That's how I serve. But that's good and healthy. But this stuff that I do for acknowledgement and acceptance out of what almost now I look back at as a sense of desperation. It looks needy and desperate, and to those that are taking, but they're happy to just take.
100%.
Like I said, that's something I look at myself now and cringe sometimes.
100%.
But let people learn their own lessons. It's what they're there for.
Good one.
Yes.
If you're listening, you know who the people are. You know what you need to do. And in the next episode, we're going to be talking about what it's like when you've been cast the role of being the strong one, the one that everyone goes to with the problems and the truth that nobody talks behind having that role and what it's really like. So as always, thank you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
If you or someone close to you needs to access mental health support, please contact your GP, or if it's out with normal office hours, get in touch with NHS 24 on 111. Alternatively, contact the Samaritans on 116 123. All calls are free of charge from any phone. You can also find more support information on the Tickety Boo website, ticketyboopodcast.co.uk.